welcome back to Bible Bites, where we take large biblical concepts and put them into bite-sized pieces. Today, we are doing Philippians 4:13, which is a super popular verse. It is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We try to say that before a race, before a workout, before a diet, because we want to believe we can do anything. Sometimes I like to say it before I play basketball. Still haven't dunked yet. But what is the historical context? Does it mean that I can do anything? Or what is Paul trying to say here?
Okay, so Paul's in prison, and he's in prison for sharing the gospel, and he's talking
He should get out of there if he says he
get out
can
of
do
there.
anything.
That's
No,
exactly
sorry.
right. I think you're speaking to the meaning of the verse right now. He's talking to the Philippians, and they are also going through trials. Why are they going through trials? Because of their faithfulness to God. And so the Roman prison's not like it is today. It means nothing like that at all. You're talking like dungeons and chains. It could be musky. It could be it's not a great place. So you want to be not an American prison. Not that you want to be there.
Do you want to be
either,
there?
But no. So you have to take the image that you have in your mind and go way, way back, hundreds of years, and take away all the amenities and regulations and all of the things that make it not as bad.
Yeah.
I guess. He's in a bad spot. He's suffering greatly, and he's writing to the Philippians, hey, you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know that I could say that from prison. I'm not as strong as that. But what's interesting is we want to go back and read the full context. If you look at the verses before Philippians 4:13, he says, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstance. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. And so that's what he's saying before we get into this verse, this idea of I know what it's like to be doing good, and I know what it's like to be doing bad, but whether it's good or it's bad, I can endure it through Christ.
He's talking about being content. I can do all things. What does that mean? I can sit in a first century prison cell and face death for the sake of Christ. I can do that because Christ gives me strength.
He had that in front of him.
He did have that in front of him. And the Philippians had other issues very similar in front of them. Many of them would go on to be martyred for their faith, for sharing the gospel. Those were the things they faced. And so we go to a race and say, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. It's diminishing what the early church people actually had to go through and what they experienced. And that's out of ignorance. That's not to anyone who does that. That's not your fault. But I'm just saying, we want to understand the context of this and understand what it's really saying, because it's really a call for us to live. If you read Philippians, it's a reminder of what it looks like to live for Christ. Living for Christ means living self-sacrificially, accepting that we might face persecution, that we might face difficulties. And difficulties don't mean a flat tire on the side of the road. Difficulties mean people coming at us because we are presenting the gospel, living a different kind of life and bringing a different culture to the world.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the American gospel. We read this through our eyes, and what we need to try to read it through their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Read it through the historical context, through what they were experiencing to really get the heart behind the message.
So when someone hears, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, I would encourage them to be reminded of their call to walk out the gospel, to live out the gospel, to be someone who turns the other cheek, someone who loves other people, even though those people are their enemy. That's the call of Philippians. And in chapter 2, he actually says, do nothing from selfish ambitions. It's all about selflessness. It's all about laying our lives down for the sake of the gospel, for others, and living for God. And in that, we can do all things because God gives us strength.
But that doesn't mean you can't run that marathon. That doesn't mean you can't do that diet.
That's
you
right.
can still do it.
Just
but
train.
that wasn't what Paul's
Maybe
talking
do a little
about.
training. Absolutely.
Not what he's talking about. Philippians 4:13 is talking about being content in all circumstances, whether we are doing great or not so great. So that's all we have for Bible Bites today, and we hope to see you next time. Make sure to let us know what you think about this verse in the comments.